Hello.
Ah, hello, Joanna.
Good morning. How are you?
So I'm very good, thank you. And guess why? I did discover on this application, Instagram, a button, and when you go on this function, you can go live, and everyone on this social media would see you in live, in direct. So you
It's magic.
you have you have to know people that who are in direct. Everything is live. Whatever would happen. Sorry.
Bless you.
Um, yeah. Yes, humans, technology are stupendous. I love it.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it? It's a novelty. Um, so today we're doing Ascendcast differently because we've decided to do it live. So this is exciting.
Very exciting.
So what number is this now? Is this number five? Is it number five?
You are presenting the cast. I don't know. I got no idea.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that. So, welcome everybody to those of you who are joining us live. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today it's another episode of AscentCast. We'll get back to you about which number it is. And AscentCast is all about the questions from our viewers, from our audience. So we get to dig deeper in your questions so that we can rise higher together. So, shall we go straight into it?
My goodness, I get used to handle your very difficult questions. Most of the time, I have absolutely no answer to that, so I just let my imagination run.
All right, let's see what it comes up with today. You're in a very nice setting, by the way, so it should be that should be helpful. Lovely backdrop. Okay, let's move into it. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I'm listening.
Okay,
I'm listening to you religiously.
so this is a very, very good question. And this comes from our friend Augustino in Niagara Falls, Canada.
Augustino.
He's got great questions, hasn't he? And this one, I think, will apply to many because the question is, why does a
Augustino
human,
is killing me.
in the best way possible, Augustino, why does a human mind move toward negativity rather than positivity first?
Oh my goodness.
So interesting. And so
Yeah, and of course, a very difficult question why the human mind moves to negativity. So I have to answer. I guess.
well, could we start by saying that it's an inherent protection mechanism, looking out for dangers, make sure that there's not a tiger behind you trying to chase you. Can we start there?
I would have to say that according to Indian tradition and eventually Ayurveda, there is three states: tamas, which is how to be lazy on a most toxic way possible; rajas, which is how to be agitated and nervous; and eventually sattvas, which is a state of blessing, which is still a state of our mental. These are all part of a mental. Does the sound is all right?
Yes, yeah, it's good.
Okay, and the question is how this mental could be stable as far as it's not disciplined. If you let your mental and your thoughts go on the way they want, they will, and it will be necessarily extremely random. They could go on some positive thoughts, and of course, it will fluctuate, and it will be balanced with very negative thoughts, and you will be as well the victim of your environment. And as far as, guess what, the environment is most of the time insanely toxic, whatever it is, unless you're living on a monastery with people which are relentlessly working on themselves with no pity and protect you in some kind of virtuous circle by evolving in the world. You couldn't escape to your environment and you will be influenced. And we folks will quite soon start to be as toxic as your surrounding. How to escape to that? In a matter of fact, the thing is that we are running after pleasure no matter what. Satisfaction. As well, not only the satisfaction of the body, but the satisfactions of what we imagine we are. And first, we do imagine that we are a body. So that's a problem. As far as it could be considered by some slightly, let's say, delusional. And if further we do imagine ourselves to be an identity, which is just a reflection of what we're encountering in the manifestation. There's no such thing as a personality. As well, it's completely delusional. As far as you're identifying yourself to something which is an absolute illusion, are you folks would be good. And even further, the folks are here in order to protect you. They are here for your survival. They are running in the way that you don't die. So, if they are used out of their context, how could they be insightful? Joy, satisfaction, pleasure are states which gonna necessarily be balanced with their opposite polarities: pain, sorrow, grief, suffering, and it's gonna be balanced, fluctuating from joy to sorrow. In a matter of fact, if you want to avoid these negative thoughts necessarily, the only solution would be to just stop thinking. There just one thought, which may be, upon my opinion, legit. And this thought is, I am. And what I am? Conventioners would answer, wir sind, was wir sind. We are what we are.
So it sounds like there's some paradox to explore in here because you're saying that our personality and our thinking is completely delusional, yet we need it, or we seem to need it to function. We need to use thoughts to our advantage, as you were saying, using them as a tool. And if the thoughts are negative, just stop thinking. But if it was that simple, everybody would do it. I mean, nobody would be walking around feeling anxious, worried, guilty, remembering the past. So what are some tools that we can use to stop our thinking or to shift our thinking into a more balanced state so we don't swing on this pendulum between like joy and sorrow?
The only tool which is at your disposal is your desire. It's quite simple. What do you want?
So if someone is desiring peace, like, so for example, somebody who has racing
Then you
thoughts,
will find
everything.
peace. Why not?
Pardon?
If one is desiring peace, then he will find it out sooner or later. If one desires silence, he will find it out all along his path, as far as he is driven by this relentless desire. Let's say the universe manifestation will plant and sow and deliver to him all along his path clues. This one can help you to reach what you want, and so on. Clues would be reached, clues would be manifested, but then, as far as the universe will offer you some tracks, there would be something which could be called by some free will. And the question is on the table, would you use it? Whatever it costs. Sometimes it will ask for your bravery, your obstination. You will have to be stubborn. If you hold to something, you will energize it. If you hold on peace, you will energize peace. You will dynamize it. Dynamize it.
So in order to, okay, so what you're saying is if you desire peace, for example, as an as a way to get away from this overthinking or this negative thinking. So what you're saying is that when you project this desire, the universe is going to give you signs and ways to follow that path. And it's whether or not you're aligned enough to be able to see these clues and to take that path. Is that correct?
You will necessarily see those clues. Question is, would you be able to grab it? Because there would be something to sacrifice. And most of the time, the thing that you would have to sacrifice is your pleasure.
So is that where we're talking about, like, is it relevant to introduce the idea of secondary gain here? So for example, say I'm somebody who's like very anxious and depressed, and I'm constantly talking about my problems, constantly talking about the past, like, is the key here the gain, that like the thing that you're gaining from that? Like perhaps somebody who is stuck in their story of anxiety is getting an unconscious gain, getting an unconscious desire met for perhaps attention, or using that anxiety as an excuse to not, take a step forward out of the comfort zone, or not to go after your dreams, or take that next big step and effort, or have discipline. Um, what do you think about the influence of this secondary gain that people get out of staying in their stuck, uncomfortable place?
I would see two things because your comment is quite complex, and it goes on some multidimensional layers, Joanna. I don't see you well. We are driven by satisfaction, and sometimes we define satisfaction in suffering. It does fulfill our sense of existing, and we don't want to drop that.
Hmm.
The reason is that by doing so, by holding back these best thoughts, these negative thoughts, and this sense of suffering, we will face something which would terrorize us, which is the unknown.
Hmm.
The idea that we don't have any idea about what's going to happen next. As far as we're suffering, we know what's going to happen next. And
Yeah,
it's so securing, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. And that even though it's like living in hell, it's a familiar hell, which is much more comfortable than stepping into the unknown.
Oh, health is full of rich sensations.
Hmm.
It could be explored. We're living in hell as long as we are living in our thoughts. As far as we are identified with our thoughts.
So how does one disidentify with their thoughts? Can you give us a practical example of how to do that, or what that would look like? What's a great way to separate ourselves from our thoughts?
I have a car. Look, look, there's a wonderful Lamborghini here.
Mm.
Can you see that? Look, here. See that car?
Mm-hmm.
And I do identify myself with my car. Das ist eine wunderbar BMW. And it's red, passionate. I did pimp this car and I put some wonderful speakers in this car. This car is not only with fruits. All I've done, it's me. It does represent it does represent who I am, what I did accomplish. That's my identity. And if this car is crushed, struck by the thunder right now, I will feel devastated. because I would feel completely destroyed. Such a miserable life. I do identify myself to a piece of metal, but I can go even better. I can identify myself to this piece of old flesh and think it's me, which is, and this vehicle is good to nothing else to prove every day. And that identifying myself to this proving machine, how miserable I am. It's all about identification. As far as I start to experience something, let's go slightly experimental, and I start to identify myself to the silence. As far as I do identify myself to the silence, unless I'm really stupid, and in this manifestation, everything is possible, isn't it? It would be quite hard to consider that this silence is my silence. It's my property. Because it would be difficult to grab it. Where is it? It's nowhere. It's everywhere. And still it's me. And by identifying to silence, some powers will rise. Supernatural powers. But maybe I did start on a smart way. I was inspired. I started to identify myself to silence, and I understood that this silence is not mine. It's something which couldn't be even described. It's just silence. But suddenly, some such supernatural powers are rising. But then, as soon as it rises, I can grab it, and I'm gonna say, "These are my powers. This is meine Stadt. They are mine. They are appearing because of me. I'm special. If I do have powers, necessarily should be someone. And I not only have wonderful powers, I have this wonderful red car. I should probably be worshipped. And if you don't worshiping me, I'm gonna start to get angry. Because that's not normal. I should be loved as well. Why don't you love me? I'm special. That's it. Could it be considered as a decent answer?
Yes. So you're
Is
talking
it
about
satisfying enough?
it's we're almost
Ah,
we're getting
almost okay.
um because we experience this physical life through our thoughts, through the representations that we assign in our brain. So I understand that for people it's really hard to separate themselves because then they think they're not going to be experiencing life or they're not participating in life. So how would you like what is a practical way to put it aside? Like people are always saying like just be the witness of your thoughts, let them pass by, but is there like some way that you think is very effective to like take your thoughts and just witness them, separate yourself from them? What is the best way to do that?
Facing death is a good exercise.
What was that?
Facing death is a good exercise, isn't it?
You mean facing the reality of death?
The purpose of a life is to realize our true nature, to understand which is our true identity, and in this way, in order to reach that, it is said that we have to die to ourselves, which symbolically speaking means that in order to stop identifying ourselves to our mental, our thoughts, and our ego, the the ego has to consider his own disappearing. So one exercise is to imagine that you're gonna die. In this way, in the ancient traditions in Japan, the warriors, the traditional warriors, which were called the samurai, were on some special training, which was a bit about martial arts, a bit how to handle a saber, but eventually not that much. Most of the training was to train themselves all along the life to die and to be ready on the battlefield to die, to sacrifice themselves for their lord, their shogun. And in this way, one of the exercise which was um, on the way was to every day take 1 hour or two and imagine the worst possible death, the worst torture imaginable. And of course, with this kind of exercises and visualizations, once they were on the battlefield and they did understand that they would probably perish by being pierced and punctured by a spear, it suddenly seems to them to be quite sweet. As far as you're ready to sacrifice yourself at any moment, there's no much room anymore for pleasure, satisfaction, serotonin, self-I, picturing this good plate on your table. This kind of exercise are wasting everything. It becomes suddenly quite serious, focused. And when at some time you start laughing, there would be so much tension and pressure accumulated that this laugh would burst like an explosion. That would be real laughing.
Mm.
There would be no room anymore for too much energy. Of course, I'm taking it a very extreme example. There's so many other exercises, and this one is very tough. It's very rude. There's another way that could be used. It's to apply to the Bruce Newman coachings or to buy his book, At the Gates of Great Power. Only $37. You can buy it online, and you will have as well 2 videos in bonus, 2 masterclasses. And Bruce Newman would make you work on something sweeter, which is not his invention, which is as old as civilization is, which is about connecting to things which appears to be at the first sight quite simple, just connect to the elements, connect to the wind, connect with the earth, and so forth. But by digging, you would realize that this work has been done since millenniums by fishermen, and they found some mystical things in their simple connections. Those elements are a reflection of what you are. These are a mirror because we are composed by the five elements. Our body is composed by these five elements, but so it is with our thoughts. The thing is that we can consider that the thoughts are the products of our body, and depending of what we're eating, we're gonna have some special kind of thoughts. But we can consider as well in reversal that our body is a product of our thoughts, and depending of what we're thinking, our body gonna become something or something else. But ultimately, our body is still not much than a thought. It's a concept. It's an interpretation. What makes you think that you really have a body? The all manifestation, all you're perceiving is perceived in two dimensions. You're running on some emptiness through a line and perceiving information one after the other, and something which is beyond your thoughts. Your consciousness is perceiving those informations 10 million per second and reorganizing them all, redistribute it, and deliver you an image in 3D. Look, you have a body. The thing is that in order to understand to Agostino, I'm still like since months waiting for the call of Agostino. There is a huge difference between the thoughts and the consciousness. The consciousness is perceiving, and this consciousness is using different tools. This consciousness is using thoughts, senses, body, but this consciousness could as well use thoughts of other people, other bodies. As long as there's no way to identify what is this consciousness and no way to put some spaciousness between this consciousness and the thoughts, there would be no stillness. We all gonna die soon, and as long as we let ourselves get tortured by this tool, which is not much than a stupid computer or thoughts, This few time that we have at our disposal gonna be perceived as extremely brief. I'm afraid so. What to do? We are living a time of great shifting. The world is changing, and this change goes faster. It does accelerate. Some people, some people like Agustino, have natural high potential states of perception. Some people would say some high spiritual potential. Why not? But if they don't want to do the job, the universe will do the job for them. And the problem is like when you let the universe doing the job for you, the universe is a bit stupid. It's gonna make you suffer in order to give you the information, which is, oh, it's time to do the job, like because you're evolving. If you refuse to evolve, it's gonna be painful.
Mm.
You're gonna be stuck on your shell, and the pain gonna grow.
Yes.
In some point, it'll start to be completely unsufferable.
Mm. Yeah.
Fortunately, there is no time when you could consider that it's too late, because as long as you do have a body and you can experience manifestation, there's still something to do.
Mm. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try my best.
It's great. Thank you. Um, let's jump to another question. This one is very, very practical. Very practical
Thank
question.
you. So easy question to finally.
I don't know if it's easy, but it's a practical question because, and it leads nicely onto what we've already been discussing, and it's from Nora from London.
Nora again.
Nora again, she's also got some great questions. She is,
I never saw Nora on Instagram. I don't know what a profile looks like.
oh, well,
Nora from London.
Nora
I
from,
didn't answer to some of a question yet, did I?
I'm not sure. I'm not,
She
no, you
never
did.
sent me.
She sent them to me because she's my dear friend. Nora is my dear friend, so she sent me these questions.
Joanna, you have to speak with her. She never sent me any message saying thank you or something.
I love that we're calling out our viewers here.
Hmm?
Right? I said I love that we're calling out our viewers here. Like Augustino and Nora. We're waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
So Nora asks for some fast acting stress relief techniques for a busy mom's schedule.
But we already answered to this question.
No, I don't think we did. We answered a different, didn't we answer about uh, shamanism and spirituality and connecting that with the day to day in life?
Or maybe I did read the question and I just send you a message. Let's not go on this question because I wouldn't know how to answer.
Yeah, I don't think we answered this question already.
So, how to relieve stress when you're a mom?
When you're a bit, I think the key word is busy because
When
as a
you're a
mother
busy
myself,
mom,
yeah, busy mom trying to find time, when you're dealing with the stresses and challenges of being a mother,
Joanna,
there,
already I'm a male. I got no idea how it feels to be a woman.
well, that's true. However,
And one step further, you're asking me how to relieve stress when you're a woman and you're a mom and you're busy.
well, it would be great to hear the insight from you, Professor Newman.
Okay.
And I'm happy to provide some ideas alongside you as a busy mother
I
myself. So let's
gonna
let's delve into it.
look at me. As far. Ah, fuck. My here it is. Like my glasses are broken now.
Oh gosh.
As far as I strictly have no idea about what I'm talking about. As far as I strictly have no ideas about what I'm talking about. And that I'm aware that all I gonna say gonna be fundamentally completely stupid. I fear no challenges.
Hmm.
You're asking me how does it feel to be a woman and a mom?
No. No, I'm not. I don't want.
And I gonna pretend that I know. I know exactly how it feels. And I got an answer.
Let's
And it's gonna
hear
be
it.
very, very
I
relevant.
can't wait. I can't wait. I can just feel the energy bubbling up. I can't wait to hear this answer.
So as far as Bruce Newman, Professor Bruce,
Hmm.
never experienced by himself how is it to be a woman,
Not
never
time
how is it
anyway.
not never how is it to be a mom,
Hmm.
still he knows.
I'm convinced.
Because he knows everything.
Just tap into the universal consciousness and see what pops out at you.
Because he's the creator. Bruce did create you somehow. So how many children does Nora has, if I may ask?
She has one.
Hmm. How old?
She's 5.
Oh my goodness. What is the job of Nora?
The job of no, I don't know. I don't know how in depth we'll go into this, but let's say she's an entrepreneur.
It's important to know because now you're seriously speaking, like
Hmm.
you,
Yeah, no, she's an entrepreneur.
so um, does she works online or
She does.
is she works online?
Yes.
That's very hard because it means that she's gonna be on a computer
Hmm.
all day long, super focused, stressed, not much physical activities. She wouldn't be dynamized by the fact that she's gonna go outside every morning and change her environment and take a subway or take a car and move on
Well, she
and go.
does. She does because she does go outside daily because she's taking her daughter back and forth to school.
But still, in general, that's a big challenge in general, and not for mothers only, but fathers as well, which are entrepreneurs and are working online and have young children. Those children would distract you all the time. They would be very demanding,
Hmm.
and it would break your rhythm. And still, you would have you would be supposed to be here for them. it may it, it may be considered as an excellent exercise throughout the incarnation to really let it go. But then on a deeper level, you're facing the same problem, Joanna, don't you? Somehow.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
exact same
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's a challenge every day.
Of course, I did write a book which is about how to increase your productivity. I sent it to you.
Hmm.
Did you have a glance?
Yes, yeah, I've read it.
I guess that the main idea of his book is don't be multitasking in an incarnation when you all about your incarnation going to be about that being multitask. You're
Hmm. Especially for a mother.
dealing with your child
Yeah.
while you're dealing with the chat with your customers,
Hmm.
while you're dealing with the settings of a website, while you have to deal with the demands of your husband, while you have to deal with grief and the problems of your friends, which are calling on the phone. And still, there is definitely some room not to be multitask. Meaning that one thing after another, when the child is demanding, you answer to the child. You understand that the child is a riddle. He wants some attention, and yet he wants to express his energy and do something. So you can giving something to do, some exercise, and include the child in your task. It's going to be collaborative. Look, mommy is working on some exercise. She have this internet website to settle, but you have your exercise, and I'm gonna give it to you. You have to draw a horse which is happy, but still doesn't know where he's gonna go. So
Hmm.
you have to draw the horse, but as well the path of the horse. And for that, because it's a classic, the child gonna draw the horse in 5 minutes, and then gonna come back to you. Look, mommy, I draw the horse. What's
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
And you're gonna say to the child, you have to draw this horse, the path of this horse, and the castle, because the horse would need to reach the castle, and the more the castle will be beautiful, the more the horse will be happy. But there's a problem. You only have 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, it's finished. You have to give the picture to mommy. So
Hmm.
here it is. Then you know that you will have 45 minutes to do some settings on your website.
Yes, that's a good one to try.
But the thing is that these could be adapted to the
Hmm.
youth husband as well, because he wants attention as well, and you have to give a riddle to the husband. So this is private life. I wouldn't suggest any exercises, but
Yeah.
through the exercises that you did provide uh, to your child, it may stimulate your imagination to find some accurate exercises for the husband.
Hmm. Do you know, going back to what you're saying about multitasking, um, what I find helps me in the days that I feel like I'm most successful with juggling being a mom and working on my business and having client calls and check-ins is just allotting specific time. So if there's like a time where I want to do my client check-ins, I'm not like trying to do that while, feeding the kids lunch or something. So for me, like putting my tasks into compartments, because when you're working online, it's so tempting to just sit at your phone and to answer questions as they come up straight away. So for me, taking like, okay, 2 hours in the morning, this is when I'm going to answer all of my messages. This is when I'm going to check in with my clients. And then I put that down until, say, after the kids go to sleep or after dinner, whatever it is. But in that way, yeah, like and it requires a lot of discipline too, because it's easy to like write down how you're planning your week out.
and not following it.
Yeah, and then but it's so easy to write out. Yeah, and then you need the discipline and you need to be able to say, yes, like I planned this, and do I feel like doing yoga on this day? Like, no, I don't feel like doing it, but I need the discipline to complete the plan, and I need the discipline to put my phone down at a time that I haven't allotted. So and also, it's like the stories that we tell ourselves throughout the day about being busy and not having enough time, and then like spending time scrolling on our phone. Like for me, this is something that I require more discipline with. So I think um in the space of working with mothers, like a lot of us, we talk about like the need for self-love and self-care, and it's so true. But while like self-love and self-care can look like having a bubble bath or going for a massage, like to me, like true self-love stems from discipline, and having the discipline to do what you need to do in all areas of your life at the appropriate time. So for me, that's something that helps me, and something that I'm still striving for and still working on, is this looking at self-love as discipline, and that being the way that I love myself and I model the best way I can for my children.
This is so insightful. And yet, you can imagine that Nora and many other mothers may not be as disciplined as you are, but still, they necessarily have to um, shop the day and put some boxes and consider this question of time because there's no choices. And um, I may naturally imagine that they all are applying to numerous activities, yoga, massages, sometime Tai Chi, sometime upper level exercises. Let's consider that they're educated and they know that these are some upgrades in all those disciplines, and some of them are better than others, more subtle, and still they are looking for an answer. They are still asking this question: How can I, how can I relieve the stress? And it was so insightful from you to expose this aspect of a busy mom's life, this question of time, and I will allow myself to add some more, one more point, which appears to me essential. This question of time, and therefore this question of pressure, could be faced day by day only if you allow a daily time, a reservation where you would, and you may put the clock because your time is limited, 1 hour, and during this hour, you wouldn't consider time.
Hmm. Oh, I like that. Yes.
People think in terms of meditation. Fundamentally, what is meditation? Is the ability to explore a world which is not an outside world, which is not a world of manifestation, but which is an inner world.
Mm.
And ultimately, by digging on that, you would realize that this inner world is not necessarily your thoughts. It's not necessarily about sensations. It's not necessarily about emotions, but it's about you and a question: who am I? And who was I during all these days? Some people calls it introspection, but by considering it one step further, it would be to consider this question of time. I know who am I more or less through space. I don't know who am I through time.
Hmm.
Do I exist through time really? I see day by day that I'm getting older. And still, I feel the pressure, but I don't feel the time. As far as the question is on the table, does this time exist really? As far as I would be out of time, as far as I would be located out of time, I would be necessarily as well located out of space. As far as I would be located out of space, I will be located out of a pressure.
Hmm.
But it means as well, by being located out of a pressure, I will be located out of a pleasure. This, this action and these actions are, are all done in order to pursue something which is about satisfaction, being satisfied. But this satisfaction by itself is an object. Fundamentally, there's nothing to be satisfied with. And when asking this question, how can I be released from the pressure? Nora is wondering on a deeper level, how can I experience this relief?
Hmm.
And this time, which would seems to be at the beginning separated from the rest of the day, this time when we consider ourselves out of time, this time could and should be expanded. We have a schedule. We know that from this hour we are supposed to do this task, this chore, and the one is following another. But none of them would be stressful as far as they would be accomplished out of time.
Hmm.
So I know that I'm going a lot throughout philosophy, and I would like to be a slightly more specific right now because people want examples. How, Professor Bruce, could you illustrate that? And I may tend to say that if you know what you know to do, if you know what you love to do, if these things that you know how to do and you love to do could be useful for others, and if there's a demand for these things that you love doing, you know how to do that. You know as well that it's a vocation. It can help people. There's a demand, and eventually, why not? They may be able to pay for that. Your life would be suddenly extremely rich and meaningful, but above all, you will never feel the time passing because you can do it all day long. And by choosing this path, and it asks to know yourself, of course. By choosing this path, there will be no pressure all along the day because you can repeat this day one after another. And when waking up each morning, you'll feel, I eventually wanted to wake up early, even if I feel a bit tired, because I'm still quite excited about what's this day gonna be. Japanese has a name for that. It's called ikigai. It's the purpose of the right action, which would be driving your destiny. If you find your ikigai, you will be happy in your life, and you will feel fulfilled by it.
Mm. Love that. So finding purpose in your day to day and finding that fulfillment. And I think that's one thing that can be, again, going back to my experience as a mother, just, yeah, having, I mean, motherhood obviously is such a purposeful role, but it can feel sometimes like you're getting lost in the identity of motherhood. So for me, recognizing my purpose and diving into it, yeah, definitely helped so much.
Somehow, motherhood is a state of generosity.
Mm.
It asks to connect to the feminine part of a being, but the thing is that anyone can experience that. Men can experience that as well.
Hmm. And women who aren't mothers can also experience it.
Women which aren't mothers can experience that.
Hmm.
And whatever it would be for men or mother or woman, this state of motherhood wouldn't be a threat for the inner masculinity. Because a mother can be fierce when it's about protecting her breeding, and a mother could be very masculine as well. She has to.
Hmm.
I fear no question, Joanna.
No, um, I think that's, I think, I think we've done well for today. answering those two questions in depth
Okay.
and also giving some very good practical exercises and recommendations. So thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd like to add for today before we wrap it up?
Absolutely. Don't forget to do add to friends. Is it the accurate name on the social?
Which
Pushing
is
to
that? Sorry?
push to the button, add to friend to a channel. Put a blue thumb or a
Oh,
like.
oh
Yes.
yes, yes. Sure,
It,
yep.
it's not add to friend because
No, we're
add to
following.
friend
We follow
following.
on
Add to
Instagram.
friend was MySpace.
Yeah. Yes. So we're following and we're giving a heart for likes.
But it doesn't exist anymore,
No, I don't.
doesn't it? Because last year when I was going back to socials, I was thinking, so I'm gonna go back to socials, and I did tip tap MySpace
Where's my
on the computer, and I didn't find it.
Yes, I think
And some
that,
people told me like, no, it's not MySpace anymore. Now you have to go to Instagram.
and here you are now,
Yes.
learning about the live function.
So
Amazing.
yes, because on MySpace we didn't have this live function.
Yes, new thing.
Technology is there's a modern social application are
It,
stupendous. I love it.
it is. That's great. Yeah.
You
Getting
have
the
to send a direct message. You say like DM.
DM. Yeah.
DM. You need to send a DM to Bruce Newman, me, to ask me for advice, and we will chit
Yes.
chat on the Instagram.
Yes. There. The Instagram. Yes. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Professor Bruce
My great
Newman.
pleasure, Joanna. It's always an honor being hosted in this show and answering to your question.
Lovely. Thank you.
And thank you for insightful comments.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. And for those who have sent their questions, we would love to hear more. So send them to Professor Newman or me, and we'd love to answer them in future episodes. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you. Bye.